Joining us this morning on the 1045theteam.com podcast is a guy we've gotten to know well over the last several months, dating all the way back to the NFL draft. It's the Pro Football Writers of America's Matt Verderame. Matt, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brady.
Matt, great football games yesterday. We'll get to those later, but I want to talk about what broke earlier in the day. That's Adam Schefter and others reporting that Rex Ryan's set to become the new head coach of the Bills. What are your immediate thoughts on that?
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting hire. Buffalo has a really good defense. They have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL, if not the best. And, Ryan is known as a defensive guy. He's somebody who is very aggressive. He puts pressure on the quarterback. And with the Bills front, they don't have to blitz a lot to get a lot of pressure. So with Ryan, I'll be very curious to see how that all pans out. He's also a 3-4 guy. The Bills run a 4-3. So that'll be a little bit interesting. But I like the hire for Buffalo. I think Ryan gives them some swagger. That's something that franchise desperately needs. He obviously knows the division very well. I think it was a good move in a year where there's not a lot of great coaching candidates. My only concern would be he has not been good with offenses. With the Jets, they were never a top 10 offense. They usually weren't even close. And the Bills, they don't exactly have a franchise quarterback unless you believe E.J. Manuel is going to become that guy. So that would concern me, but I don't think it's a bad hire by the Bills.
By all accounts, Jim Schwartz, the current Bills defensive coordinator, is also a great defensive mind, helped catapult that defense to the status it was at this year. Why the move to go get a defensive guy? Even if Rex Ryan is the best defensive mind out there, you've already got a great one. Why not address the offensive issues?
I just think they want to get the best guy available. I mean, you look at the guys who are available, Rex Ryan, Dan Quinn, Todd Bowles, all fine candidates, but they're all defensive. And I think maybe the Bills, they wanted somebody with experience. I mean, this is a team that did go 9-7 this year. They're not a bad football team. So, you think of the Bills, I think a lot of people think of them, they think, the Bills are mediocre. But when you really look at it, of all the teams that have coaching openings right now, or that did before the Bills hired Ryan, they had the best record of all of them. So maybe the Bills said, you know what, we've been trying to make the playoffs now for 15 years. We got to get somebody in here who's got some experience, but we at least know can coach. Ryan's not a great coach. He's not going to come in here and go 14-2 next year. He's not Bill Parcells, but he's gotten his team to the playoffs. He's gotten the AFC Championship game. Like I said, the only concern I have, like you just brought up, is they need offense, and they don't have a quarterback. And Ryan has not had a history of being able to fix offenses. He's never been able to really get an offense going, and a lot of that's due to never having a go offensive coordinator. So that would be my only concern with Ryan, is just, can they get that offense up to speed? I don't know that they can with him because he's never proven that he can.
I heard a rumor earlier this weekend that if Rex did get the Bills job, he was going to look to bring in former Bears head coach Marc Trestman as his offensive coordinator. Now we're hearing that it's going to be Greg Roman, the current offensive coordinator of the 49ers. If it had been Trestman, obviously the Jay Cutler to Buffalo rumors pretty much go by the wayside. But now, is Jay Cutler a guy that the Bills will go get to address that quarterback need, you think?
I got to be honest, it's just a personal opinion, but I don't see how bringing in Jay Cutler helps them. I know he's better than E.J. Manuel, okay? I get that. He's probably better than anybody you're going to sign. But if I'm the Bills, you don't have the first-round pick this year, go sign Brian Hoyer. Live with it for a year. He's no worse than Kyle Orton. Okay, go bring in Brian Hoyer. Let him be a bridge for somebody, and then next year go draft the quarterback again in the first round.
But don't you worry, though, Matt, don't you worry that that's going to that another year? I mean, you know how it is equated to baseball. You've got a great pitcher who's 33 years old. You want to win with him now. You don't want to just get a couple of buffers. You want to go and win now. But this defense is intact this upcoming season. Isn't this the year to try to win and make a statement?
I understand, but you got to think of it this way, too. You bring in Cutler. The guy's never won anywhere he's been. He's literally Jeff George, just like 10 to 15 years later. So if you bring him in, you're bringing on all that money, you're tying up all that cap space for a guy that maybe is going to get you to like 10-6, maybe, if that. And then you've got to deal with the fact that you're not going to draft a quarterback for a little while because you have him, and you have all that money tied up in that position. If I'm the Bills, as much as it stinks, I'd sign Hoyer, I try to just make the playoffs. I think you can make the playoffs with Hoyer. I really do. I don't think he's great, but I think you can make the playoffs. Then with him there for like 1 year, then you try to bring in a franchise guy. The Bills screwed themselves by trading their first round pick this year. As good as Sammy Watkins is, they never should have made that trade. That is a killer, not having a first round pick. And now they're looking at having a year where they're going to kind of be a limbo a little bit. They're going to have to pay the price for that deal.
From a team that we usually don't get in the Bills to a team I currently don't get at all, the Jets. We're talking about Dan Quinn, who is the Seahawks defensive coordinator, who's emerged as their favorite. All indications are that once the Seahawks lose or win the Super Bowl, Dan Quinn will be the guy they target. All reports have said that if the Seahawks had lost to Carolina, they were prepared to go offer him the job that night. I don't understand this either. Dan Quinn may be the best guy on the market. He's another defensive guy. By all indications, you just fired the best defensive guy in the game. Why are they not addressing offense?
That, to me, is a very good question. Because when I look at the Jets, I don't get a lot of things that they do. You know, they're reportedly going to go out and hire Mike McKinnon from Houston today to be the general manager. And if you look at the Houston Texans draft the last 5 years, they are atrocious. They have drafted, other than J.J. Watt, who, yes, he's a phenomenal player. I mean, no one would argue he might be the best player in all of football. But other than that, they have not drafted one Pro Bowler in the last 5 years. I mean, they have been, you could not have worse drafts than Houston's had in 5 years. And they have decided to go that route, which really surprised me. You bring up the Dan Quinn. Look, Dan Quinn might be a good coach. Who knows? He could be a great coach. He could flame out in 2 years. It's impossible to see. But, again, I agree with you. If you were going to hire a defensive coordinator, you would have Marc Trestman. I don't understand that team. I don't understand that team in a lot of ways. That, to me, just makes no sense. If you're the Jets, look at your offense. You cannot score a point. To me, the Bills just need a quarterback, and I think that offense is fine. The Jets need a hell of a lot more than that. The Jets need running back. The Jets need receivers. The Jets need a tight end. The Jets need alignment. I mean, that offense needs a total rebuild. And if Dan Quinn can't bring in a really solid offensive coordinator alongside of him, they are not a team that's going to bounce back quickly. They have a lot of holes.
Matt Verderame, Pro Football Writers of America, also one of the lead writers over at SB Nation, chief contributor to the Arrowhead Pride portion of SB Nation. Matt, you're a Chiefs-centered guy, so I'll ask you a question here about the AFC West. Last night, Peyton Manning loses for the 9th time, one and done in the playoffs. Loses to Andrew Luck and the Colts. But I feel like even though you're a Chiefs fan, maybe part of you a little happy to see the Broncos take an early exit. Aren't you a guy that, don't you just appreciate greatness and appreciate moments? If last night was Peyton Manning's kind of curtain call, his send-off, his last hurrah, his last chance, doesn't part of you feel sad watching the way it ended?
Sure, absolutely. You know, I make no secret of that. I am a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I have been since I was a little kid. But, you know, I pride myself in being honest and fair, and it was actually a little bit uncomfortable watching the game last night. It was, it was weird because as you watch the game, you didn't realize, over the last 2 months, I've watched a lot of Denver. I've probably watched almost every one of their games. And he's not been the same player. It's not even been close. And to watch him in that playoff game, just not even play poorly, but play horrifically, just struggle on those, even on completed throws. Throws are just, the ball looked as though it had helium in it. It just floated and fluttered. If it was his last game, he certainly has nothing to prove. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's a 4-time MVP. I mean, he is a phenomenal player. I don't think anybody, anybody who wants to try to take that away from him is just lying to themselves. So, if he went out, if that's going to be it, I would be a little surprised if that's it. But if he really feels like he can't play any better than that, then he might have too much pride to continue.
All right. Catch or not, Dez Bryant, what do you think?
I think by the letter of the law, they made the right call. By common sense, that's a horrendous rule. Ultimately, he caught that football. He caught the ball. He took 3 steps. He went for the end zone, and when he hit the ground, the ball jarred free.
The thing I don't even understand, Matt, is the ball, when he reaches for the end zone, his left hand extends the ball out the same way a running back extends for extra yardage going towards the first down marker. The ball is still cuffed in his hand, doesn't hit the ground, and then when he rolls over into the end zone, that ball pops up. It never hits the ground again, and he retains possession the same way a receiver who bobbles it can make the catch. I don't ever see the ball hit the ground. I don't understand what rule we're talking about. I don't understand how that's not a catch at all.
Oh, Brady, again, it is, we both know, we follow football through little kids, comes down to when he hits the ground, he's rolling over, the ball popped loose. And when he originally hit the ground, the ball came out, indicating that the ball hit the ground. I think, personally, I had no stake in that game. To me, that's a horrendous call. But ultimately, I think the referee, Gene Steratore, I think he made the correct call by the rule book. I don't like it. I think it needs to be changed. I'll give you one quick example. Earlier this year, the Chiefs were playing the Arizona Cardinals, and they were driving late in the game. Travis Kelce caught a ball. He was running downfield. He got hit. He went down. Clearly had the ball under his control. When he went down and got hit, as he went to the ground and then rolled over and started to come up with it, the ball came loose. They ruled that it was a continuous motion and ruled it a fumble. That even on the field, even after the game, I cannot remember for the life of me the name of the referee, but he even said Kelce had control of the ball, but he did not complete the process. The ball came free. It was, to me, an egregious call. But by the letter of the law, they got it right. So I guess the NFL has got to take a look at their rule book, according to a lot of people.
I think the officiating was subpar on a lot of degrees in that Dallas-Green Bay game yesterday. Even going back to the end of the first half, Randall Cobb, that play gets held up as a catch for Randall Cobb. It looked more egregious than the Dez Bryant play.
I thought he caught that. I thought, well, you know what? I shouldn't say it. I thought that was really borderline. I think because they rolled a catch on a field, I think you can make a case that they could have held it up. But at the same point, I do agree with you that if there was just, you know, you got one look at it on the replay and you said, did he catch it or not? I would lean towards no, but because they rolled the catch on the field, I can kind of understand why they didn't overturn it. But ultimately, it was a rough day for the refs. But you know what? If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you've got no room to complain because let's face it, you shouldn't even have been in that game. Detroit got hosed about 8 times the week prior. So if you're a Cowboys fan, you really have no leg to stand on.
All right, Matt Verderame, a lot to digest. We could go for a full hour on these topics, I think. Matt Verderame, Pro Football Writers of America, SB Nation, and many other outlets. Follow him on Twitter, @Matt Verderame. Matt, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks a lot, Brady. I appreciate it.